Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to episode number 725 of NoDQ&A Video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A Video's affiliate, ringsidenews.com. As I do every 25 videos, this will be an extended edition, trying to reach 50,000 subscribers by January 1st, 2016. If you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe if you haven't already, and please tell a friend about NoDQ&A Video. Spread the word about youtube.com/NoDQCAW. With that being said, let's get down to your questions. First one today comes from Gareth Smith. Hey up, mate, do you think Kevin Owens versus Brock Lesnar is a good choice for WrestleMania 32? And who else do you see Lesnar facing? Please answer in video. If Kevin Owens had been booked stronger, I would say that Kevin Owens versus Brock Lesnar is a good choice because it's something fresh and different, something we haven't seen before. I like that. But the fact is, Kevin Owens hasn't really been booked at a main event level. Yes, he did beat John Cena, but he lost to John Cena 2 times after that. And he's been IC champion. But other than that, he really hasn't done anything all that significant. And with the amount of money that WWE is paying Brock Lesnar, you only want to put him in there with the very best of the best, the most elite, most credible superstars in the company. If Kevin Owens had been booked better throughout 2015 and he had been dominant over every major star from John Cena to Randy Orton to Dean Ambrose, and the list goes on, then I would say go with Brock Lesnar versus Kevin Owens. But I really don't feel that Owens is a big enough star at this point to be facing Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Just my opinion. And as far as other potential opponents for Brock Lesnar, really the only logical choice right now seems to be Roman Reigns. They have unfinished business from WrestleMania 31. I really don't want to see Lesnar against Cena again, or Lesnar versus Undertaker, or Lesnar versus Triple H. He's running out of opponents. I think that doing a rematch from WrestleMania 31 and finally settling the score between those two is the best way to go at this point. So if it was my call, I would go with Lesnar versus Reigns. Alright, this one comes from Philippe. Hey Aaron, as I see it, what will happen is Sheamus remains champion until WrestleMania 32 and Brock Lesnar as contender. Your thoughts? Thanks. I would be shocked if Sheamus is WWE champion heading into WrestleMania, and I feel that Sheamus has even less credibility than Kevin Owens, even though Sheamus is the WWE champion. WWE has booked Sheamus even worse than they have Kevin Owens. And to me, it's impossible to suspend disbelief and think that Sheamus, if this was a real fight, could beat Brock Lesnar. I just don't feel that Sheamus has the credibility. His character is not credible enough, and it would be hard to think that Sheamus could defeat Brock Lesnar. In my opinion, that match would not work. Both Kevin Owens and Sheamus, perhaps they could have been decent opponents for Brock Lesnar if they were booked better. That's the bottom line. Neither of them come off as credible main event monsters that could beat anybody on the roster, and that's just the way WWE's been booking them during 2015. Alright, this one comes from AJ Messner435. Please answer in video. Do you think Sami Zayn will be a main eventer on the main roster? I think so, to the level of CM Punk, Daniel Bryan. He will have to be extremely lucky. I feel that both CM Punk and Daniel Bryan overcame a lot of odds and had a lot of luck along the way. Neither of them fit the mold of the type of guy that makes it to the top in WWE, but with CM Punk, he was very vocal and he spoke out, and the pipe bomb promo caught on, and that gave him the opportunity to become a major star. With Daniel Bryan, he was in the right place at the right time on several occasions, and once the yes chant caught on, he got the fan support, and things worked out for him. It would really take a lot for Sami Zayn to make it as a main eventer. He's got a lot of things working against him, and the fact that he's even in WWE has surprised me. I never thought that he was going to make it in WWE, and the fact that he has made it to some degree, I mean, that is just amazing. And I do feel he will succeed on the main roster to some degree. Will he be WWE champion? I find that hard to believe. I would really be surprised. Maybe one day it will happen, but it's just, it's hard to say that he'll be able to overcome all the odds. I think he's going to need a lot of luck to become WWE champion one day. And I got this question here from Daniel Jobber. With Sami Zayn coming back, do you think WWE will find a way to set up Zayn versus Owens grudge match for WrestleMania 32? That seems to be more of a likely possibility for WrestleMania rather than Kevin Owens versus Brock Lesnar. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, I think, is a realistic idea for a match at WrestleMania 32. You already have the built-in storyline between the two of them, and it makes logical sense to go with that for WrestleMania. And I think those two would tear the house down. They have the experience working together, and I think that would be the right match to book those two against each other at WrestleMania 32. Alright, this one comes from J-Ro. This is for 725. How different do you think WWE and wrestling would be if WWE folded out of nowhere? How would it affect NoDQ.com? It would be devastating. If WWE went out of business, my business would pretty much be destroyed. But with that being said, I think it's highly unlikely in all likelihood that WWE is going out of business anytime soon. Even if something unexpected happened, if something tragic happened and Vince McMahon died, or if Triple H died, and not wishing death on anybody, if something like that happened, it would be terribly tragic. And it would really screw up the wrestling business. The wrestling business would be in the toilet. I mean, there's no other way to put it. If something happened to WWE or something happened to Triple H and Vince, and I think if something happened to one person, WWE would continue and would function. But if something really tragic happened, and that's really the only way I could see WWE going out of business. If something devastating happened, like somebody was in a plane crash, and it would be terribly tragic, and that could ruin the business in WWE. But unlikely that any of that will ever happen. And it would really take a lot for WWE to go out of business. They're still making money. They're still profitable. Despite business being down, they're still making money. And I think they'll continue, but anything can happen. In 1998, I doubt anybody predicted WCW would go out of business. I think people predicted WWE would overtake WCW and WCW would struggle, but nobody could predict that WCW was going to die. They had so much money coming in, and then 3 years later, they were gone. A company that was funded by Ted Turner went out of business. So anything's possible, but I hope it doesn't happen. Just put it that way. Alright, this one comes from Javid Rayman. Do you see Daniel Bryan's or John Cena's return at the Royal Rumble 2016? Please answer in video. John Cena, I suspect, will be back before 2015 is over. I think we'll see John Cena possibly on the last Raw of 2015, and certainly before the Royal Rumble. I definitely see John Cena coming back. It's possible they may hold him off on television until the Royal Rumble, but I would be shocked with ratings down and football season ending. I think WWE is going to want to get those ratings back up as soon as possible, and I think we'll see John Cena back in the next couple of weeks. Daniel Bryan, I've talked about this in previous videos. It would be a huge mistake to bring him back before the Royal Rumble unless he's winning it, and I don't see that happening. I think it's best to just hold off on Daniel Bryan and bring him back not only when he's ready to go, but also when he's not going to interfere in the booking plans for WrestleMania and get the fans all worked up and upset about him not being in the main event. Alright, this one comes from PG Fan. Hey Aaron, long-time viewer, first-time asker. Do you think Kane deserved at least one more World Championship run? Not really. It's not a matter of how many title reigns you have. It's a matter of the title reigns meaning something. I think looking back, maybe it would have been nice for Kane to have had a longer run in 1998 instead of one day as champion. Maybe if he had been champion for a couple of months, they could have set up a Austin versus Kane rematch at the July pay-per-view, and then they could have done Austin versus Undertaker at SummerSlam. They could have done something like that, but instead Austin won it back right away, and then they did the tag match, which was fine. WWE was very fast-paced during those days, and the wrestling business in general, everything moved very quickly, and Kane's title reign was only a day. It was a ratings ploy. So yeah, I feel it would have been nice if he had had a longer reign, but there's really no other point where I felt that he should have been the world champion for any length of time. And honestly, I think that 2010 reign was not necessary at all, and perhaps went way too long, longer than it should have. I don't even think it was that long. I think it was a couple of months. I'm not sure what it was, but I didn't really feel that title reign was necessary. Alright, this one comes from Brandon. Out of the 3 matches, which Cena and Owens match did you like the most? Mine is the Money in the Bank match. Please answer in video. Definitely the first one, because Kevin Owens won and it was fresh. I did not like the fact that immediately when the match was over, they instantly announced a second match with no storyline reasoning. It's just, oh, we're going to do a second match. The first one's over, now we're going to do a second one. With no rhyme or reason. They just announced it. Completely random as soon as the first match was over. And then the second and third matches, while they were technically great, they were basically the same match as the first one, except John Cena won both of them. So more or less it erased the impact, or took away from the impact of Kevin Owens winning that first match. So I didn't like the booking of the second and third matches, and while technically they were really good, the first one was really good, and it was the first one. So I go with the first one. Alright, this one comes from Daniel Allen 445. What does WWE need to do to build up a strong group of wrestlers like they had around 2007 with Cena, Orton, HBK, Edge, and so forth? Simple. You have to have these guys win matches. In order to make new superstars, you need to build them up and make them credible. What's going on in WWE right now is you have a sea of mid-carders. You have Wade Barrett, Sheamus, Rusev. All these guys are mid-carders. They win matches, they lose matches. There's no dominant force, and WWE's just putting all these guys together, hoping that will be the dominant force. But you have to push some people, and when you push some people are not going to be pushed. The problem in WWE is they have the 50-50 booking, the even Steven booking, where everybody trades wins and losses, and when you do that, nobody really gets over as a main eventer. So what you have is just a roster full of mid-carders. That's what it is in WWE. So that's really what you need to do if you want a higher number of credible main event superstars. Then you need to start giving guys more significant wins. You bring in Kevin Owens, you don't have him lose 2 matches to John Cena after he wins the first match. You have him beat John Cena, have him go on to beat Randy Orton, have him beat every established talent, so you have a new superstar. Simple, straightforward. Alright, this one comes from Daniel Jobber. Do you see Samoa Joe winning the NXT title in London to free up Finn Balor to join the main roster immediately? I would be surprised if Finn Balor comes to the main roster before WrestleMania. I would actually be surprised if anybody comes up before WrestleMania. I think WWE wants to focus on the guys they already have leading up to WrestleMania. And usually WWE introduces new characters right after WrestleMania. If Finn Balor is going to debut, and I'm assuming he'll be the next one that gets called up, I think it would be best to wait until after WrestleMania, and then you can focus on him as the new superstar, just like they did with Neville. He was introduced right after WrestleMania 31. That's what I'm expecting to happen. But I could see Samoa Joe winning the title at some point, and then Finn Balor goes from there to the main roster. It may not happen at London, though. It might be held off till the next NXT special in early 2016. Alright, this one comes from Corby W. Is Dean Ambrose overrated in the ring and on the mic? In the ring, they're way better like Cesaro, and on the mic like Owens. Please answer in video. It's really hard to say because I don't feel that Dean Ambrose has reached his full potential in WWE. I feel like he has the potential to go really far in the company, but he's been held back, and he's just been booked very poorly. In this whole angle they're doing with him being the sidekick of Roman Reigns, it's done him no favors. It's hard to say. I mean, if Dean Ambrose was given the ball to go all the way and he still wasn't really getting over, then you could make that argument that he's overrated and that he doesn't deserve the spot that he's in. But he hasn't really been given the chance to run with the ball in WWE. So at this point, it's really hard to say. I mean, I really can't give a definite answer about that because I haven't seen him get the opportunities that others have gotten in the past. Alright, this one comes from Kyle Allen. Why did WWE Why didn't WWE just unify the ECW title with the WWE title before they dropped ECW as a brand? Please answer in video. That's a good question. I'm not really sure why. I guess WWE just didn't want to have Ezekiel Jackson against whoever the WWE champion was. They didn't even want to bother with that. Maybe they felt there was no need to make the ECW brand mean anything and really do anything with it. They just wanted to drop it. So they had the ECW title match and just it was quietly forgotten about. I really don't know. I don't know why they didn't do that, other than the fact that they just didn't see ECW as a high priority and worth even bothering to do a unification match. Alright, this one comes from Beast Slayer. Have you seen that absurd list of things that are banned at WWE events? Tell me it isn't ridiculous. I think that people tend to get overly hysterical when something tragic happens. People panic, they get scared. I think WWE as a company is concerned about something happening at one of their events, and because of that they beef up security. I really feel that security has already been efficient enough at WWE events. When I've gone to shows at the Staples Center, they always check your bags, and to me it was very thorough enough as it was. And now it's just becoming too much, in my opinion. Some people out there feel that it goes too far. And on one hand, you want to be safe, and public safety should always be a priority, but you don't want to go too far in the other direction where it's just becoming too over the top and you're doing too much and it becomes too much of an inconvenience to people. I think that banning purses and banning camera bags is a bit over the top. So yes, I do think it's a bit ridiculous and not necessary, and I feel that the security that was already in place was efficient enough. Alright, this one comes from Nemi SXS. Hey Aaron, how do you feel about Foley Jr. working with WWE? I personally think it's one of their best decisions in years. Please answer in video. It's hard for me to say because I don't know what he's capable of, and I also don't know how much of an influence he'll have in WWE in the long run. If he's just one of 50 writers, he's not going to be able to make all that much of a difference in WWE. Now, if WWE gets rid of a lot of writers and they have a smaller writing team and he's part of a 5 or 6 person committee, then maybe that will be a positive change. The fact that WWE is hiring people and bringing in new people, that's definitely a positive, but you have to do more than that. If there's still too many cooks in the kitchen, then it's not going to matter who you bring in. It's just not going to make much of a difference unless the new people you bring in are able to really have an influence on what's being put on television. Alright, this one comes from Jamie Clark. What was the worst instance of a WWE storyline angle that ultimately had no payoff? I think the number one example would have to be the Mr. McMahon dying in the limousine explosion. The fact that WWE invested so much into that, and then because of what happened with Chris Benoit, they had to drastically change the storyline. That really had no payoff, and WWE tried to salvage it by saying that Vince faked his death and then did the whole angle with the illegitimate son, which ended up being another disappointing payoff with Hornswoggle being revealed as the illegitimate son. Beyond lame. So I would go with that whole storyline with Mr. McMahon, the limo, and then Hornswoggle as the illegitimate son. And, once again, all that, a lot of that wasn't WWE's fault. I won't say all of it. A lot of it was WWE's fault. They can't control what happened with Chris Benoit, and they could not control what happened with Mr. Kennedy getting suspended, when they were grooming him to be the illegitimate son in the storyline. But Hornswoggle, really, that was the best thing that they could come up with. Yeah, that was very disappointing. Alright, this one comes from Kyle Allen. Would you be in favor of a WCW one-night stand? What would a WCW one-night stand be exactly? What would it consist of? Would you have Goldberg coming out and doing a 2-minute squash match? Would you have a Cruiserweight Battle Royal that gets interrupted by Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and they beat up the entire Cruiserweight division and they spray paint the guys? Would you bring back Glacier? I mean, what would you do for a WCW One Night Stand? I always wondered that. How would you make that significant and make it meaningful? I'm not sure what you would do. I really don't see the point in doing a WCW One Night Stand. If they were going to do one, they should have done one when they did the ECW One Night Stand. Doing one in 2016 now, I don't know how that would work, how that would be successful. I just don't know. Alright, that will wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video, the 725th video. If you enjoyed it, please share it with a friend on Facebook, Twitter, any social media website. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding WWE TLC. Vote in the NoDQ.com Year-End Awards at NoDQ.com/polls. And I will see you guys next time for another edition of NoDQ&A video.